So what made the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion great? And can the remaster actually bring that magic back? Today we're jumping into Oblivion, the original game, and comparing the leaked remastered screenshots to the actual locations where they were taken. But I also want to discuss a few of my favorite gameplay mechanics and what made the game great. And if you missed the video going over the legitimacy of the leak of the Oblivion Remaster and my first impressions of all the leaked material, including the deluxe edition of the game, you can check out the other video in the description. This was the launch title on the Xbox 360, and it was one of the first games players experienced that gave them a feeling of total freedom in a believable world. Every NPC was actually voice acted, mainly by Wes Johnson, but it was still voice acted. You could also follow the main quest or just become a thief, an assassin, a wizard, or a gladiator. The world also felt reflective. NPCs had daily routines thanks to the Radiant AI system. They'd wake up, open their shops, go and do their daily chores, eat, and then go to bed. And this is what makes the game feel like it was a living, breathing world that you were a part of. And it also was one of the first games where you could literally see that mountain and go and climb it. But it also had some really cool mechanics that were later removed from the Elder Scrolls series. Like, you could create your own spells, enchantments, you could even make your own class, and that level of flexibility and sense of ownership over your character's journey isn't really something you see much in modern roleplay games. Now, as for the world of Oblivion, it was based in Cyrodiil, in the center of the map of Tamriel, and this is a place of classic high fantasy, almost Tolkien-esque in inspiration, with this lush forests, grand castles, haunted ruins, and it was a great entry point for fantasy lovers and roleplay games in general. Also, you have the modding scene, which actually exploded during Oblivion's time. Now, before we take a look at the combat, exploration, lockpicking, and other things that Oblivion has to offer, I want to compare these new screenshots from Oblivion Remastered to the actual locations they were taking. Welcome back to Oblivion. This is the first screenshot we're going to be comparing, and we're also going to look at it at different times of day. So currently we've just left the Imperial sewer. There's another screenshot for this as well we'll look at in a moment because it looks vastly improved. After the prologue of the game, we leave the Imperial prison sewer just here in the northeast of the Imperial city itself. We can start comparing the screenshots side by side. So the first thing you're going to notice, like just in terms of item placement, you've got the docks, it has the same lantern on it, even the spools of rope are still on the docks, you've got the boat in the same place, and right down here, there's actually a bit of a broken barrel, and that's also seen in the screenshot. And even this bush over here is in the right place as well. And then if you look into the distance, I think Unreal Engine becomes really clean because you can't see any rocks or textures or any environmental details over there on the other side. But looking at this screenshot, you have all this rocks and terrain that we're used to seeing from modern day video games. And like I said in yesterday's video, the trees look a lot less in the updated version. It looks like there's a massive forest right in front of me to explore, whereas when I look on the screenshot I see like a few scatterings of trees, and there are less trees over there, but there's a real forest on the left hand side. And Oblivion has a very saturated green, cyan, blue sort of color palette to it that just gives you energy when you look at it weirdly. It's not like playing Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas where it's got this sepia yellowy tone on it, which you can see from the screenshot. And a lot of people were quite upset and surprised by this change, but I don't know if that's just because of the weather, which is why I kind of want to stand here and just wait until like midday to see how it changes. It doesn't really change until this is just what daytime looks like in Oblivion. But then if I wait until the evening, so 5 p.m, then it really starts just to get dark, and you have those beautiful sort of red hues. The color palette really changes, and so does the sky, in fact. But it still isn't really close to this image that we've got of the game. You can see the reflections here in the original game. New version, you have actual reflections of the ruins and all the rocks and details. Oh my god, they do have rocks there. Oh, we need to put all the fade on max here. There we go. There we go. Okay, now we can see the rocks. So there actually are rocks there. Now, before we go on to the next image, I just want to swim across the river here and take a look at the combat, because we do know that there are some combat changes in the game. So you can see the blocking. When I block in this game, takes up some stamina, does a little bit of damage to health, and you still have staggers. So the enemy can stagger you, and I can stagger them slightly, but there's a lot less hit impact on each blow of the attacks. And apparently Bethesda, oh my god, I actually have arrows inside me. They've gone right through my body. I really miss Oblivion, man. It's such a great game. And apparently they've also redone the archery, which we'll have a closer look at later. But as you can see, the archery in this game is just so like wooden, the archery looks, compared to how it was updated in Skyrim. If you sneak, it still does let you draw the bow sideways like that, which looks really cool. Oh, the Oblivion physics is so good, man. But apparently all the physics and stuff is going to be running on the original game engine, so it's still going to be as interactive as the original game. But now I want to look at the Imperial sewer entrance. I'm going to get the image up right now because the first thing you'll notice is it's truly been remastered this. They've actually changed the entrance completely to being a circular sewer entrance, and we even have the Imperial crest inside the Iron Grate, and the Iron Grate itself has obviously been embellished to look more interesting and exciting. So the fact they've done work on some of the 3D assets and models is really positive. Obviously the trees are from Unreal Engine. You've got the parallax textures on them. There's even the addition of dead trees, which do exist in Oblivion, but obviously they don't look anywhere near as unique and organic as this. But you also have obviously the parallax textures on the ground, and there's even bits of sewer grate and a skeleton that's been there, ivory all over the rocks here with bits of wood and barrels. So it's just the added clutter in the game that makes the environment just look a lot more interesting to explore and experience. And funnily enough, if I sort of compare some of the tree placements, they are very, very similar. Let's just unlock all the map markers. We can now see Skingrad just over here. And one of the images we see that was leaked is just over here, Skingrad Castle. This game was my childhood and I just memorized everything. Are you ready? There it is. I just load up the game and know where this is, man. Right, that gives you the idea of what the screenshot actually looks like. So there's a lot that you're going to notice on this picture. The first thing is just look at the LODs, the distant mountains. You can see that they're just like this muddy sort of silhouette in the background, but on that new screenshot we see these vivid, harsh mountains. Honestly, Oblivion mountains, it's really crazy what kind of vertical surfaces you can climb, but this picture makes them look almost impassable. They actually look better than they do in Skyrim with these new LODs. Obviously it's rendered in Unreal Engine, so it's not going to be the same as the Elder Scrolls 6. So don't look at this game and think, wow, the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to look like that, because it's probably not. It's probably going to look like a bit of an improvement from Starfield, actually. The next thing we can see is obviously the character's armor set. Obviously, like I said yesterday, all of the 3D models of all the armor sets, all the weapons have clearly been retextured and remodeled, and they look so much more detailed. And then you'll notice the parallax textures on the ground with the tiles, and then the fires that line the side are now actually proper braziers. They look much more interesting. So the next picture we need to have a look at is located all the way past Kvatch in Anvil. Hello.
Good evening.
Oh, okay, you go that way anyway. So this next building,
I wouldn't go in there.
Jesus
Christ! You have a
Christ.
strong stomach.
They've done a really good job here. You can see the balcony on the right-hand side. All the houses look very similar, but what I've noticed is you see these sort of smooth lines where the stonework is. These look a lot smoother in Oblivion, but in the remaster, you can see they're a lot more jagged. Everything's more angular and jagged. So I don't know if they've done like a passover of everything to sort of modernize it. And everything else I would say is very accurate. Even like the box placements are the same here. I loved Anvil because it was the one with the haunted house at the back there. It's one of the most beautiful houses in the game, but there's been a sacrifice in the basement. And my wife absolutely loved this house, spent all her money on it, and was terrified of living there because of what happened in the basement. But there was another screenshot taken at this location. You guys might recognize this statue here. Yeah, here it is with the docks. And there's a rock just here that's in the foreground. But you can see the back of this statue. And there's a much better looking bush here. And then you can see the reflections of this house and the actual chapel itself in the distance there, even this dock looks much better. And obviously the grass textures have been massively improved there. And you can also see the castle gates in the distance and the haunted house I mentioned earlier. So yeah, just a massive improvement. That's one of my favorite looking screenshots because it really does look quite like the original game. So lighting can really change how a picture looks. So do bear that in mind before you sort of pass off that it looks very different. But I will say that the color palette on these images looks much warmer than the original game. Now I've tried to capture the landscape we see in this next picture of the Imperial city. However, I do think I'm on the wrong side of the building because the sunset is on the other side, but it's really these same hues and saturations that the colors we're getting through here that appear quite similar. And I really do like this view of the Imperial City because to me it just feels very Oblivion, apart from the aura in the sky there. And obviously in the distance of that picture you can see the Geral Mountains, which is this mountain range in the distance. So if we come over here on the map near the Imperial City waterfront, you can see over here the Arcane University, which I think that small tower in the middle is actually in the picture. So this is actually what that picture looks like at daytime. Now you can see that the Arcane University doesn't have that center building because obviously when you're playing Oblivion, you're never going to be able to look into the building. The other thing you're going to notice is just all the rocks and the textures of the mountain around the city, and also the render distance of that is so much better. So 6:30 seems to be when this picture was taken, maybe a bit earlier, but you can really start to see the similar lighting style, and those red saturated hues are really very reminiscent of the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Look at the waterfront district, it looks really cool. And this is the classic Oblivion castle. Every castle in Oblivion looks like that. So I really hope they remastered that too, because I think that's kind of like a big issue. There's actually a cave nearby. Let me show you the problem with the caves in Oblivion. Oh, and here's some goblins as well. Fantastic. Oh, I still hit him. So this is the archery combat, and I've turned God mode on, which is why I'm not taking any. Oh my God, look at those physics. Weren't they amazing back then? But look at this gobbo. That's what the goblins look like. So they haven't actually changed from the original game, which I'm kind of glad. Now, a lot of people know this, but in Oblivion, the goblins actually had different factions and clans. Look how beautiful this game still looks, though, with the sunset there. So this is going to be a cave, and I guarantee you it's similar to every cave you visit in Oblivion, because they all use the same tile sets. Let's get a torch out and proceed down into the cave. Get wrecked. You can also block one-handed just like in Skyrim. Obviously, you couldn't dual wield in the original game, but you could use spells in the same hand as your weapon. And I really hope they've kept that from the original game. But that allowed you to basically use a shield and a sword and still cast spells. You didn't have to actually equip them in one hand. So I really enjoyed that about the Oblivion system. And this is also how the blocking works. You see, it does a bit of damage to me and I lose stamina, but you know, as long as I have stamina, I can just sit here and block all day. And I also increase my block skill. There's a bit of physics on the impact when I actually hit him because he ragdolls, but while he's alive, there's no impact physics. And I think that's one of the things that Bethesda wanted to improve based on what we know. Why did the goblins set off the trap there? Oh God, I forgot that the traps hurt you when you walk into them randomly. Heal ourselves or use shocking touch. So you see, I have a sword in one hand, but I can still use the freeze spell on the goblin. And get wrecked, son. Look how angry. He's very angry. And now we're out of mana. Your blade skill has increased. Very good. But yeah, basically it works the same way as Skyrim, where you're using the combat. You know, anytime you use a skill, it's going to increase those abilities. Oh, the lockpicking system. I have no idea if they've remastered this, but I really enjoyed the lockpicking system because it was an actual mini game, whereas the Skyrim and Fallout 4 one was just streamlined. So this is how the lockpicking used to work in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. I don't know if it'll be the same in Remastered or not, but every time you push the lockpick up, you see it drops down very quickly, and you've got to find the point where it drops down slowly. Just there, and then you hit it at the top. So after you figure out the rhythm, you can then open the lock. So that's a slow one. That's a fast one. Then it's fast, fast, slow again. Oh, we broke the lockpick, so we have to restart again. There we go, we've unlocked it. And there's an iron claymore in here, so I can show you guys. There we go, the iron claymore. And it has a much further reach, as you can see. This is something Oblivion also had. You can see that's the entrance. And these are the cave tiles. And if you compare all the local maps in Oblivion, you'll see that they're actually very similar. I think, is the cave down here? Oh, it's down here. Look, there's another entrance. But pretty much all the caves look like this in Oblivion. They're all very similar. Whereas I felt like Skyrim had more of a unique experience, you know, when you were walking into the caves. Like so. And then I can still use my spell to kill them. And if I power attack, it will actually go through his block. So there are some mechanics like that that are kind of cool, but they're definitely apparently updating the game from what it was like originally. Oh, look. So right here, there is a trap. Oh, look. You see there's logs up there. I think it activates that. So let's try it out. Wow, that would literally kill you in Oblivion. Even walking too close to them and interacting with them kills you. It's pretty brutal. Now, if they do bring spellcrafting back, because you could create your own spells, that would be a lot of fun. If you thought alchemy was broken in Skyrim, then just wait until you have a go at spellcrafting. Oh, that would have been a death trap. I didn't even know they were above me.
The servants of Dibella, slaughtered on the very altar of love. Truly shocking.
No!
Without question. Good day.
You have my ear, citizen.
I feel like I just need to stop here before I get carried away of playing Oblivion just again. Because the game obviously is great and it has this kind of charming jankiness to it. When I was a kid, I really didn't mind all the bugs and funny physics and interactions and weird memeable NPCs that I would come across because it was the best thing at the time. And even going back to it, I still thoroughly enjoy the gameplay. As much as we meme on this game, it is fantastic. And I just hope that the remaster is somewhat faithful to the original game, but I'm also excited to explore whatever the future holds.